Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Today we will be starting a new chapter, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya chapter 5, the activities of Sākṣi-Gopāla. And we will say our Mangalacharan prayers and begin this session. We're going to start all the way from the summary. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today's chapter is the activities of Sākṣi-Gopāla, Madhya chapter 5 of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So let's read the summary first, and then we will go from the first verse onwards. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the following summary of the 5th chapter in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, which is Amrita Pravaha Bhashya is the commentary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Just like Prabhupada has his Bhaktivedanta purports for Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the name of the commentary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur on Chaitanya Charitamrita is called Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. Amrita means nectar, Pravaha means the flow, and Bhashya means commentary. So the flow of nectar, the commentary is of the flow of nectar. After passing through Jajpur, here it is mentioned as Yajapura, but the way in Bengali it is pronounced as Jajpur. Y becomes J. After passing, and Pura, in Sanskrit, Pura is pronounced as Pura. It's not Pura. It's not Yajapura. Yajapura. It's a very small sound, Yajapura. But in Bengali, because this is in the states of Bengal and Odisha. So if you look for Yajapura, you will not find anything in the map. But Jajpur, Jajpur, you may be able to find. Let me actually do a check. Let's see. Jajpur, Odisha. So I don't know if you can see this. Jajpur. So that's the in Odisha state. So we just have to get a little bit familiarized about Bengali pronunciation and Sanskrit pronunciation, and actually pay attention to that, because that's actually attentive reading. So after passing through Jajpur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the town of Katak. You see, Kataka is the pronunciation according to IAST standard. But in fact, this spelling also does not. It is usually spelled as Cuttack, Katak. So after passing through Jajpur, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached the town of Katak and there went to see the temple of Sākṣi-Gopāla. While there, he heard the story of Sākṣi-Gopāla from the mouth of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu narrated the story of Sākṣi-Gopāla. So it's a very important detail to remember. So Nityananda Prabhu heard it from others, and he in turn narrated this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Once there were two Brahmanas, one elderly and the other young. When did Nityananda Prabhu hear this story? Earlier, Nityananda Prabhu, he went on a big pilgrimage all over India. At that time, he went to Sākṣi-Gopāla as well, and he heard this narration. And if Nityananda Prabhu passed it, Nityananda Prabhu, if he passed it to others, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram himself. So he would not pass on something that is not factual. He's Balaram himself. And of course, him being Balaram, he knew already, but he heard from others, from devotees, and then he passed on this knowledge to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he knows already. But they are teaching us how we should receive pastimes, the story of pastime, because many people can make up all kinds of things. We should receive anything, whether it's from standard shastras or from traditional folklore. We should accept those which have been accepted by authorities like acharyas and Krishna himself. That's why we should always check Sadhu Shastra Guru. If it does not match, then even if it's traditional folklore, like these two Brahmanas of Sākṣi-Gopāla pastime is not mentioned in any Vedic literature per se, like written by Vyasadeva or something like that. But that does not mean, because it is not written by Vyasadeva, it is not bona fide. It has been existing in traditional folklore, and sometimes it's traditional folklore. Sometimes, like every pilgrimage site, they have their own Sthala Puranas. Sthala Purana means, Sthala means place. So Purana means history of that place. So Jagannath stories, we have many Jagannath stories, right? But none of them are in the Vedic literatures. Not all, like some of them are, but most of the recent pastimes are not. But that does not mean there are no other pastimes apart from those found in the Vedic literature. Supplementary literature, even sometimes traditional folklore, but not all traditional folklore. That which has been accepted by authorities, authoritative acharyas, we can accept. So that's the lesson we can take away from this. That's one of the lessons that we can take away from this narration, that Nityananda Prabhu heard it and then he passed on to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now because of that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has picked it up, and then we are reading about it. And now all over the world, everybody knows the glories of Sākṣi-Gopāla because of Prabhupada's books. So, once there were two Brahmanas, one elderly and the other young, who were inhabitants of a place known as Vidyanagar. After touring, and Vidyanagar is in South India, I think is in Andhra maybe, or somewhere. After touring many places of pilgrimage, the two Brahmanas finally reached Vrindavan. The elderly Brahmana was very satisfied with the service of the young Brahmana, and he wanted to offer him his youngest daughter in marriage. The young Brahmana received the promise of his elder before the Gopal deity of Vrindavan. Thus the Gopal deity acted as a witness. When the two Brahmanas returned to Vidyanagar, the younger Brahmana raised the question of this marriage, but the elderly Brahmana, due to obligations to his friends and wife, answered that he could not remember his promise. Now, Of course, we will read the story of Sākṣi-Gopāla, but I just wanted to say it on the onset, um, at the onset, that you see from this, one more important thing that we need to learn from here is the deity listens. He's Krishna himself. He can listen even when I'm not in front of the deity, but especially in front of the deity. That's why it is said one of the principles of devotional service is that we should not lie in front of the deity. Because the Lord, of course, we cannot lie anytime, right? But especially in front of the deity, it's highly disrespectful because, yes, Krishna is everywhere and we may forget that and we may lie. We may actually sarvatra panipadam tat sarvatokshi shiromukham. He is the upadrashta anumanta cha. He is always the witness as the Paramatma. Not that Sākṣi-Gopāla, then only the Gopal was witness. Gopal is already always witness of everything that we do. Not only in front of the deity, at the back of the deity, or without the deity, wherever we are, the Paramatma is sitting in our heart and he is the Sākshi. What is that? Karmana daivanetrena jantur dehopapattaye. So, daivanetrena, by the supervision of the Supreme. So he's witnessing everything that we're doing. So he's already a witness. But okay, there can be some consideration of the fact that okay, I'm not so advanced as to realize the presence of Krishna everywhere. So Krishna, being kind upon us, he came in the form of the deity, not only as the Sākṣi-Gopāla deity, but every deity is his expansion, is him only. So when he is mercifully standing in front of us, reminding us that hey, here I am, and even in front of him, then we tell a lie, that's highly disrespectful, highly offensive, because Krishna is there always everywhere, but he is personally now present as Acha Vigraha so that we can actually see his presence. Otherwise, we may not be as advanced and not see his presence. But if he is there in such a how to say, visual form in front of us, there's no denying the fact that Krishna is there. But if we don't have faith in the deity, and if we are coming to the temple and talking things without faith in the deity, then what is that? That is highly offensive. So that's why one of the things we should not lie in front of the deity is one of the rules, 64 rules that are mentioned by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So anyway, the Brahmana, elderly Brahmana, promised the younger Brahmana in front of the Gopal deity that I will give my youngest daughter in marriage. But the elderly Brahmana, reading on, but the elderly Brahmana, due to obligations to his friends and wife, answered that he could not remember his promise. Because of this, the younger Brahmana returned to Vrindavan and narrated the whole story to Gopalji. Thus, Gopalji, being obliged by the young man's devotional service, accompanied him to southern India. Gopalji followed the younger Brahmana, who could hear the tinkling sound of Gopalji's ankle bells. When all the respectable gentlemen of Vidyanagar were assembled, Gopalji testified to the promise of the elderly Brahmana. Thus, the marriage was performed. Later, the king of that country constructed a fine temple for Gopal. Afterwards, King Purushottam Dev of Orissa was insulted by the king of Vidyanagar, who refused to give him his daughter in marriage and called him a sweeper of Lord Jagannath. With the help of Lord Jagannath, King Purushottam Dev fought the king of Vidyanagar and defeated him. Thus, he took charge of both the king's daughter and his kingdom as well. At that time, Gopalji, being very much obligated by the devotional service of King Purushottam Dev, was brought to the town of Cuttack. After hearing this narration, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Gopal in great ecstasy of love of God. From Cuttack, he went to Bhuvaneshwar and saw the temple of Lord Shiva. In this way, he gradually arrived at Kamalapur, and on the banks of the Bhargi river, he came to the temple of Lord Shiva, where he entrusted his sannyas staff to Nityananda Prabhu. However, Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 pieces and threw it into the Bhargi river. At a place known as Atharnala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry at not getting his staff back. Thus, he left the company of Nityananda Prabhu and went alone to see the Jagannath temple. Now, you may think, what is this going on? Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fighting with each other. Now, there is a lot of meaning behind that. So, this is just the summary. But we will actually read the whole chapter so we can know all the details of these incidences that are mentioned here. Okay, so text 1. This is the standard of Chaitanya Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The first verse of every chapter is like a summary of that chapter in Sanskrit verse. पद्भ्यां चलन्यः प्रतिमा स्वरूपो ब्रह्मण्य देवो हि शताः गम्यं देशं ययौ विप्रकृतेद्भुतेऽहं तं साक्षि गोपालमहं नतोऽस्मि. That's a beautiful verse. In fact, if we go to Sākṣi-Gopāla temple, we can use this as the pranati mantra for Sākṣi-Gopāla. Tam Sākṣi-Gopalam aham natosmi. Let's see. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Brahmanya Deva, who appeared as Sākṣi-Gopāla to benefit a Brahmana. For 100 days he travelled through the country walking on his own legs. Thus his activities are wonderful. This is a beautiful verse to offer as a pranati mantra for Sākṣi-Gopāla. Shata aha, in 100 days. Gamyam, desham, yayau. Viprakrite, for the benefit of a Brahmana, Vipra. Adbhuta iham, tamaham, tam Sākṣi-Gopalam, aham natosmi. Padbhyam chalan yah pratima swarupah, Brahmanya Devah, Hishataha gamyam. Very nice. It's worth learning this verse. जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा. This is again always the standard second verse of every chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita, except for one or two chapters, something like this. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Sri Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. चलिते चलिते आयला जाजपुर ग्राम वराह ठाकुर देखी करेला प्रणाम. The village of Jajpur Gram, Varaha Thakur. Walking and walking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his party finally arrived at Jajpur on the river Vaitarani. There he saw the temple of Varahadev and offered obeisances unto him. नृत्य गीत कोइलो प्रेमे बहुत स्तवन जाजपुरे से रात्रि कोरिला जापन. In the temple of Varahadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in chanting and dancing and offered prayers. He passed that night in the temple. कटके आइला साक्षी गोपाल देखिते गोपाल सौंदर्य देखी होइला आनंदिते. Afterwards, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the town of Katak to see the temple of the witness Gopal. When he saw the deity of Gopal, Lord Chaitanya was very much pleased by his beauty. Premaveshen nritya gita koilo katakshan avishta hoya koilo gopalastavan. This word is not hana, hoya. It's with the nasal sound hoya. Avishta hoya koilo gopalastavan, and with the tilde on top. And this is only for Bengali. Okay, for Sanskrit, it's nya, 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 cha cha jajanya. So jnana, jnana. That time this thing comes. But in Bengali, it's a little bit different. It's a Y sound, YY sound, like HAYYA, haya, but with a nasal sound, haya, avishta haya. Translation. While there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in chanting and dancing for some time, and being overwhelmed, he offered many prayers to Gopal. সেই রাত্রি তাহার হি ভক্তগণ সঙ্গে গোপালের পূর্ব কথা শুনে বহু রঙ্গে. That night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in the temple of Gopal, and along with all the devotees, he heard the narration of the witness Gopal with great pleasure. Nityananda Gosai Jabe Tirtha Brahmila Sākṣi-Gopāla Deity Kataka Aila. Here also, Nityananda Go, it's not Nityananda Gosani. Devotees read like this, it's very hilarious. It's not Nityananda Gosani, Gosai, I, like nasal sound. So it's followed by I, so Gosai, but followed by A, Aya. So like that. Gosai. Previously, when Nityananda Prabhu had toured all over India to see different places of pilgrimage, he also came to see Sākṣi-Gopāla at Cuttack. So Nityananda Prabhu had toured before all over India to see different places of pilgrimage. At that time, he came to Cuttack to see Gopal. Sākṣi-Gopāler katha shuni lokamukhe, shei katha kohe na Prabhu shune mahasukhe. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu had heard the story of Sākṣi-Gopal from the townspeople. See? He now recited this again, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration with great pleasure. So, since Nityananda Prabhu heard from the townspeople, should we hear anything from the townspeople? Because even the Kaliya story that Balabhadra Bhattacharya, Balabhadra, he heard, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised him. How come you are hearing this nonsense and then you are thinking it is real? Because some fisherman was there in the boat in the night with a lamp, and then people thought, oh, this lamp is actually a gem, and the boat is actually a Kaliya snake, and the fisherman, they thought he was Krishna. So, oh, Krishna has come to do his Kaliya dance, Kaliya Daman Leela in this river, at the river. So this is a great miracle, and everybody was saying like that. And then Balabhadra also, he also took it. He's a personal servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Balabhadra Bhattacharya. So he believed, and then he came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu slapped him, and then chastised him. How come you are accepting this thing, like whatever people are saying, and you are accepting? They are fools, and you are bigger fool. Bigger fool because he was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and still he was fooled. But here, Nityananda Prabhu heard from the townspeople. So, what is to be accepted from townspeople or not should be taken from Acharyas and Krishna himself. If Krishna accepts that version, then that is true. So, since Nityananda Prabhu accepted, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted later on, and then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami accepted, and all the Acharyas accepted, we also accept. So, it is Guru Sadhu Shastra. He now recited this again, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration with great pleasure. Purport. The Sākṣi-Gopāla temple is situated between the Khurda Road railway station and the Jagannath Puri station. The deity is not presently situated in Cuttack, but when Nityananda Prabhu travelled there, the deity was present. Cuttack is a town in Orissa situated on the Mahanadi river. When Sākṣi-Gopāla was brought from Vidyanagar in southern India, he stayed for some time at Cuttack. Thereafter, he was situated for some time in the Jagannath temple. Oh wow. See, I did not know this. It seems that in the temple of Jagannath, there was some disagreement between Jagannath and Sākṣi-Gopāla. A disagreement called Prema Kalaha, a quarrel of love. In order to settle this love quarrel, the king of Orissa constructed a village about 11 miles from Jagannath Puri. The village was called Satyavadi, and Gopal was stationed there. Thereafter, a new temple was constructed. Now there is a Sākṣi-Gopal station, and people go to Satyavadi to see the witness Gopal. I think they call it Satyavadi or something. I don't know how they pronounce it now. Here it's mentioned Satyavadi, but maybe it's now Satyavadi or something. I don't know. I'm not very sure. But this is interesting. I did not know this at all. That Sākṣi-Gopal was in Jagannath Puri temple and there was a Prema Kalaha. Let's see the... okay, this is not in the verse. Prabhupada is mentioning it. Must be somewhere else that Prabhupada is quoting from. Prema Kalaha. quarrel of love. Very interesting. Jagannath and Sākṣi-Gopāla had disagreement. See, these disagreements now you may think, hey, how come you're all laughing? What is this? Krishna and Krishna having disagreement. But these disagreements will enhance. So it is to establish the prominence of Sākṣi-Gopāla, that there is a separate temple for Sākṣi-Gopāla, and instead of, when you go to Jagannath temple, then there are so many deities there also. I mean, apart from the main temple shrine, other deities also. So it may be just forgotten. So if it is separate temple, there is more prominence. So probably because of that, so many reasons, Krishna does so many things. So we should not think that it's an ordinary fighting. Krishna and Krishna fighting. What is this? You people are worshipping Krishna and Krishna are fighting. Two deities of the same god are fighting. People can come to this kind of conclusion, and they may make fun of our religion. But we should understand how to understand these things. Why there is a kalaha. Just like Jagannath is sick. How can God become sick? Well, he can. To increase the love of his devotees, so that he disappears for 14 days, and then people become very anxious to see him, and then he comes in a grand style on the Rath Yatra, and then there's a huge celebration. So it's to increase the love of the devotees. So similarly, it must have been something, but one of the side effects of that quarrel of love, Prema Kalaha, is now Sākṣi-Gopāla has his own deity, own temple, and there's prominence. Okay, he's the main deity there, instead of being a side deity to Jagannath. He's the main deity, and people can worship Jagannath and Sākṣi-Gopāla, not very far from each other, but at the same time prominent. So in that way, to establish the faith in the deity, not only in the Sākṣi-Gopāla deity, but all deities of Krishna, that they all are witness, and Krishna is actually even more than that. Krishna is ultimate witness of everything, and we should remember that. So if we don't remember that, at least Krishna comes in this kind of pastime he does, and that story is narrated, and through those stories also there is faith created in Krishna. Even if you don't have faith in the Paramatma, and every time think about that Paramatma is witnessing me, if we are so forgetful, though, Krishna has done another Leela to remind us that at least the deity, okay, we should remember the deity is always a witness. Oh, actually Krishna is deity, but Krishna is also Paramatma. So to increase their understanding from directly no understanding of God to complete understanding that Krishna is witnessing my every single thought, word, and activity, he has made this Leela, which is like a via medium to that understanding, between that two extremes of not having any idea of the presence of God and to having full understanding of, full realization of presence of God everywhere. So the middle understanding is, okay, he is in the deity form. So that's the beginning of the understanding that Krishna is actually the witness. He is not a stone. To create faith in the deity, to create faith in eventually the all witnessing nature of the Lord, the omnipotency, omnipresence of the Lord, Krishna has done an additional Leela to help us. So a separate temple for him is very much becomes important in that case, because there's a special pastime that has a special lesson for everybody, and also to fight off such arguments as, oh, deity is just stone. So to establish the non-difference between the deity and the Lord, also he did this. So there is reason why those things, Prema Kalaha, happens. So we should not be too disturbed by such disagreement between Jagannath and Gopalji. पूर्वे विद्यानगरेर दुईट ब्राह्मण तीर्थ करिबारे दुहे करिल आगमन. Formerly at Vidyanagar in South India, there were two Brahmanas who made a long tour to see different places of pilgrimage. गया वाराणसी प्रयाग सकल करिया मथुरा ते आयला दुहे आनंदित होइया. Again, Hana, hoiya, not hana. If you say hana, Bengalis will laugh at you. First of all, they visited Gaya, then Kashi, then Prayag. Finally, with great pleasure, they came to Mathura. If you observe, I am saying Prayag. It can be said Prayag, Kashi, and Gaya. See, the A is having a dirgha on top, elongation. So Prayag, in Sanskrit it is Prayag. But in Hindi, in Bengali, it is said Prayag. Mathura, so you must pronounce the A. Gaya must pronounce. Prayag, well, in Bengali or Hindi, it can be omitted. In Sanskrit, you must pronounce the A, but not elongated. Prayaga, not Prayaga, not Prayaga, Prayaga. I'm saying these things because I want devotees to become conscious of this pronunciation. Prabhupada very much stressed it. Recently, I shared in the WhatsApp groups the importance of understanding the diacritic marks. And there's a reason why Prabhupada put that much effort in putting those diacritic marks, and so that people can learn the pronunciation properly. And then if we don't pay attention to that, okay, some people can't, that's another thing. But I think many people can. If we just pay attention, we can. वन जात्राय वन देखी देखे गोवर्धन, द्वादश वन देखी शेष गेला वृंदावन. After reaching Mathura, they started visiting the different forests of Vrindavan and came to Govardhan Hill. They visited all 12 forests, vanas, and at last came to the town of Vrindavan. Purport: the 5 forests situated on the eastern side of the river Yamuna are Bhadra, Bilva, Loha, Bhandir, and Mahavan. Bhadravan, Bilvavan, Lohavan, Bhandirvan, and Mahavan. The 7 forests situated on the western side of the Yamuna are Madhuvan, Talvan, Kumudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Khadirvan, and Vrindavan. I did not know. After visiting all these forests, these pilgrims went to a place known as Panchakroshi Vrindavan. Out of the 12 forests, the Vrindavan forest extends from the town of Vrindavan up to Nandagram and Varshana. Is there a Varshana? Usually it's known in the Barsana. So here is mentioned as Varshana. I don't know if the spelling is exactly correct. Whether it's Varsana or Varshana, because it's usually understood as Barsana. Sana, not Shana. So I do not know exactly whether this is accurate or not, this particular spelling here. But if you have to stay true to the spelling here, then Nandagram and Varshana, a distance of 32 miles. Vrindavan extends from the town of Vrindavan up to Nandagram and Varshana, a distance of 32 miles, within which the Panchakroshi Vrindavan town is situated. Vrindavane Govindasthane Mahadevalaye, She Mandire Gopaler Mahaseva hoy. In the village of Panchakroshi Vrindavan, at the site where the Govinda temple is now situated, there was a great temple where gorgeous worship of Gopal was performed. Keshi Tirtha Kaliya Hrada Dike Koilo Snan, Shri Gopal Dekhitaha Korila Vishram. After taking baths at different bathing places along the river Yamuna, such as Keshi Ghat and Kalia Ghat, the pilgrims visited the temple of Gopal. Afterwards, they took rest in that temple. Gopal Saundarya Duhar Man Nila Hari, Sukha Paya Rahe Taha Din Dui Chari. The beauty of the Gopal deity stole away their minds, and feeling great happiness, they remained there for 2 or 4 days. These two brahmanas. द्वि विप्र मध्य एक विप्र वृद्ध प्राय, आर विप्र जुवा तार करे न सहाय. One of the 2 brahmanas was an old man and the other was young. The young man was assisting the old one. छोट विप्र करे सदा ताहार सेवन, ताहार सेवाय विप्रेर तुष्ट होइल मन. Indeed, the young brahmana always rendered service to the older one, and the old man, being very satisfied with his service, was pleased with him. Vipra bole tumi mor bahu seva koila, sahaya haya more tirtha karaila. The older man told the younger, you have rendered me various types of service to me. You have assisted me in traveling to all these places of pilgrimage. Putreo pitar oiche na kore sevan, tomar prasade amina pailam ashram. Even my own son does not render such service. By your mercy, I did not become fatigued while on this tour. कृतघ्नता होय तोमाय ना कोइले सम्मान अतएव तोमाय आमी दिबो कन्यादान. If I did not show you any respect, I would be ungrateful. Therefore, I promise to give you my daughter in charity. Kanyadan. This is the thing. When the daughter is given in marriage, it's a dan by the father to the husband of, the to-be husband, the bridegroom. So it's a charity, which is considered a pious activity. It's a charity to the Brahmana, a woman in charity. So there's a lot of culture behind marriage, not like today. There's simply whatever people are doing, but there's a lot of culture behind that. छोट विप्र कहे सुनो विप्र महाशय असंभव कह के नाय जैना ही होय. The younger Brahmana replied, my dear sir, please hear me. You are saying something very unusual. Such a thing never happens. You are saying something impossible. Asambhav. महाकुलीन तुम्ही विद्या धनादि प्रवीण आमी अकुलीन आर धन्य विद्याहीन. You are a most aristocratic family man, well educated and very rich. I am not at all aristocratic, and I am without a decent education and I have no wealth. Now both are Brahmanas, but within Brahmanas also there is lower and upper divisions. Especially at that time, those days, people were very much adhering to this birth-based caste system. Even now, it is prevalent, but it is not. It's dwindling. But those days, it was very, very hardcore. Purport: due to pious activities, one can be enriched by four opulences. One may obtain birth in an aristocratic family, become highly educated, become very beautiful, or get a great quantity of riches. These are symptoms of pious activities performed in one's past life. In India, it is still current for an aristocratic family never to consider a marriage with a common family. Though the caste may be the same, to maintain the aristocracy, such marriages are rejected. No poor man will dare marry the daughter of a rich man. Because of this, when the elderly Brahmana offered the young Brahmana his daughter, the young Brahmana did not believe that it would be possible to marry her. Therefore, he asked the elderly Brahmana why he was proposing something unprecedented, asambhava. It was unheard of for an aristocratic person to offer his daughter to a person who was both uneducated and poor. कन्यादान पात्र आमी ना होय तोमार कृष्ण प्रीत्य करे तोमार सेवा व्यवहार. Sir, I am not a suitable bridegroom for your daughter. I render service to you only for the satisfaction of Krishna. So he was a very pure Brahmana. Both of them are actually pure devotees. Because otherwise, the deity would not respond like that if they were not pure devotees. But you see how he was not, he was so detached. He wasn't like thinking, oh, let me serve this man so I can get his daughter. No. And even though unexpected, even when the old man proposed it, he said, see, you're doing it in front of Gopalji and it will be a lie if you said like that, because that won't be possible. So please reconsider what you're saying. So I just served you for satisfaction of Krishna because you're a devotee and I just wanted to serve the devotee of Krishna. You see, here Prabhupada mentions both Brahmanas were pure Vaishnavas in the purport. The younger man took special care of the older one simply to please Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11:19-21, Krishna says, Madbhakta puja bhyadhika. It is better to render service to my devotee. Thus, according to the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is better to be a servant of the servant of God. CC Madhya 1380. Dasa dasana dasa. Gopi bhartu padakamalayur dasa dasana dasa. One should not try to serve Krishna directly. A pure Vaishnava serves a servant of Krishna and identifies himself as a servant of Krishna. This is pleasing to Lord Krishna. Srila Narottam Das Thakur confirms this philosophy. Chhadiya Vaishnav Sevan Nistar Paiche Keba. Unless one serves a liberated Vaishnava, he cannot attain liberation by directly serving Krishna. He must serve the servant of Krishna. So it's a very important point. Very, very important point. In fact, not the famous verse. ये मे भक्त जनाः पार्थं न मे भक्ताश्च ते जनाः मद्भक्तानां च ये भक्तास्ते मे भक्ततमा मताः. Lord Krishna told Arjuna, those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees. But those who are the devotees of my servant are factually my devotees. And therefore, those who are devotees of my servant are factually my devotees. So that's what Krishna wants. Naham vipro na chanarapatir napi vaishyo na shudro naham varni na chagrihapatir no vanastho yatirva kintu prodyan nikhila paramananda purnamritabdher gopi bhartuh padakamalayur dasa dasanudasa. I am not a Brahmana, nor a Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, nor am I a Brahmachari, householder, Vanaprastha or Sannyasi. I identify myself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. He is like an ocean of nectar and he is the cause of universal transcendental bliss. He is always existing with brilliance. In Kulashekar, in Mukundmala Stotra, 25th verse, he says, such a beautiful verse, Majjanmanah phalamidam madhukaita bhare mat prarthaniya madanugraha esha eva tvadbhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya iti mam smaralokanatha. O enemy of Madhu and Kaitabha, O Lord of the universe, the perfection of my life and the most cherished mercy you could show me would be for you to consider me the servant of 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 your servant. So that is the attitude that Krishna likes. And also, that is the attitude that will bring us the greatest bliss. It looks like, oh, I can't be a servant of Krishna. What is this? What is servant of servant of servant of servant? That servant of servant of servant of servant of Krishna is more glorified than the servant of Krishna. The more we are servant of the servant, the more he is glorified. I explained this before as well, that Radharani gets 100 times more pleasure than Krishna by serving Krishna. And the gopis who serve Radha and Krishna, they get 100 times more pleasure than Radharani. And the gopis who serve Krishna, they get 100 times more pleasure than the gopis who serve Krishna, Radha and Krishna. So the manjaris who serve the gopis, who further serve the gopis, who serve Radha and Krishna, they achieve 100 times even more pleasure. So the more one is servant, the more pleasure there is. And also that 1665, which is very many times I showed this. That I'll go to just to that part of the. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "Oh Adi." Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Nityananda Prabhu that you can do something which I also cannot do. So, in the purport, if one is true to Gaurnita's service and disciplic succession, he can even excel Nityananda Prabhu's service. So, the person in the parampara, a servant of Nityananda, he can even excel Nityananda Prabhu's service. How can we excel God's service? It's an audacious thing to say, right? But it's not. It's not audacious. Like Hanuman, he is a servant of Ram, but he did more than Ram. He is the one who to jump to Lanka. He's the one who brought the mountain. The big things Hanuman did. Ram was just walking and crying and shooting arrows. But that does not mean that's only because Ram wanted to glorify Arjuna. Sorry, Hanuman. Krishna similarly did not fight in the war. He could have, just by desiring, he can kill everyone. He showed that in the universal form, Virat Rupa, that they're already dead. But he wanted Arjuna to get the glory. So he wanted Arjuna to do more than him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got Nityananda Prabhu to do more than him. And whoever is serving Nityananda Prabhu, he can do more than Nityananda Prabhu. Similarly, if we really take Prabhupada's instruction, we can do more than Prabhupada by his mercy. By his mercy is the key thing here. If we really have his mercy, we can do more than what Prabhupada did by his blessing. So that's the power of servant in spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. It's not like, you are an insignificant, nobody knows you and nobody cares for you. That's not servant. Servant is very special for Krishna. The more one is servant, the more we become special to Krishna. So going back, ब्राह्मण सेवाय कृष्णेर प्रीति बड़ होय, ताहार संतोषे भक्ति संपद बाढ़ोय. Lord Krishna is very much pleased by service rendered to Brahmanas, and when the Lord is pleased, the opulence of one's devotional service increases. So the young Brahmana is saying like that. Purport. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the younger Brahmana rendered service to the older one with the purpose of pleasing Krishna. It was not a matter of ordinary worldly dealings. Krishna is pleased when a Vaishnava is rendered service. See, Krishna is pleased when a Vaishnava is rendered service. Because the younger Brahmana served the older one, Lord Gopal agreed to become a witness of the marriage negotiation in order to maintain the prestige of both devotees. The Lord, yes, the deity can, talk and walk and everything, but one may ask, then if the deity can do, why he is not doing it and showing everybody that he can do and create faith in the people? No, the deity does not do that. The deity does not do that for everyone. To maintain the prestige of the devotee, how great devotees they must be to that, how great devotees they must be for Gopal deity to actually do something so unprecedented to maintain their prestige. Again, the younger Brahmana wanted to, in the end of the story, you will see that he showed the glory of Gopal deity, but the Gopal deity showed the glory of the young Brahmana. How great of a devotee he is. So in this way, there's a lovely reciprocation between Krishna and his devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would certainly not have liked to hear about marital dealings unless such dealings were exchanged between two Vaishnavas. Marriage arrangements and ceremonies belong to ordinary material karmakanda sections of the scriptures. The Vaishnavas, however, are not interested in any kind of karmakanda dealings. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, Keval Vishar Bhanda. For a Vaishnava, the Karmakanda and Jnanakanda sections of the Vedas are unnecessary. Indeed, a real Vaishnava takes these sections as a poison pot, Vishar Bhanda. Sometimes we take part in a marriage ceremony for our disciples, but this does not mean that we are interested in Karmakanda activities. Sometimes, not knowing the Vaishnava philosophy, an outsider criticizes such activity, maintaining that a sannyasi should not take part in a marriage ceremony between a young boy and a young girl. However, this is not a Karmakanda activity because our purpose is to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. We are giving all facility to the general populace to take to Krishna consciousness, and in order to fix the devotees in concentration on the service of the Lord, marriage is sometimes allowed. We have experienced that such married couples actually render very important service to the mission. Therefore, one should not misunderstand when a sannyasi takes part in a marriage ceremony. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu took great pleasure in hearing about the marriage ceremony between the young Brahmana and the daughter of the elderly Brahmana. See, just like this, the battlefield of Kurukshetra, devotees are not interested in any battlefield. No, but because it is connected with Krishna, it is connected with the devotee Arjuna. Now the battlefield, the whole dealings of the battlefield, the whole details of the battle become important for the devotee. So these, although are material activities, when they are connected with Krishna or his devotees, they become spiritualized. So whether it's a marriage ceremony of this Brahmana, or whether it's the battlefield of Kurukshetra, or whether it's the battle of Ramayana, there was a big battle between Ram and Ravana. Because Ram and Hanuman, great devotees, and Mother Sita is there, that whole battle becomes prominent. Otherwise, monkeys are fighting, monkeys and men are fighting, monkeys and Rakshasa. Monkeys and men are fighting everywhere. What is so special? Special here is fighting for Ram and Hanuman, great devotee, hero of the battle. So in this way, we to understand. So everything in connection with Krishna is spiritual. Just like another example, Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is considered Amalam Puranam, the spotless Puran. Only spiritual topics, only devotional service. Kaitava Dharma, what is that? Projhita Kaitava Dharma completely throws away all kind of cheating, materialistic religion. But in Bhagavatam, there is a description of creation of the material universe, creation, the planetary situations of where the planets are situated, what is their speed, what is their orbit, what is their position in the universal space, the structure of the universe, the composition of time, the composition of material body, birth and death, like what happens in the womb of the mother. Like, why is this spiritual or is this like material? In connection with Krishna, everything becomes spiritualized. Material is when we don't see the connection of everything with Krishna. Subal Prabhu was giving a lecture yesterday morning. And he said a beautiful point that common sense means to have the sense that Krishna is the common factor in everything. Everything is related to Krishna. He is the common thread that, Sutre Manigana Iva, which is holding everything. He is the common thread which is holding everything together. To have the sense of that is actually common sense. And then we can think about everything in the proper way. A lack of which is a lack of common sense. We don't have a common, uniting, binding understanding that Krishna is actually the underlying principle of everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. And to have that is proper understanding. So anything, if it is related to Krishna, in relation to Krishna, we will study everything. We are not interested in materialistic studies. But then Bhagavatam is dealing with so many materialistic topics. Even sometimes there is marriage, marriages or dynasties, names of people in the dynasties are described. Now you may think that what is the spiritual profit in these things? Even chanting the names of such great souls has so much profit. Just like chanting of Krishna's name has so much profit, chanting the names of these great personalities also there is so much profit. And not just the names, but also whatever has happened, the history. We are not interested in the history of the material world, but we are interested in the history of those events in the material world which are connected with the Lord and his devotees. And sometimes it also includes the description of the demons, because that's how the demons harass the devotees, and the Lord comes to actually paritrana sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavama yuge yuge. So we will, although it is Amalam Puranam, there are descriptions of demons there in the Bhagavatam. There are descriptions of devotees, there is descriptions of so many material things. But because it is related with Krishna and devotees, everything becomes spiritualized. So similarly, this marriage ceremony, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda is called Avadhut. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already took sannyas. Why are they interested in some marriage ceremony? Because he's devotee and because Krishna's deity, and they wanted to propagate the glory of the deity as well, and the devotee. So this is the proper understanding. What is the definition of Maya? Ritertham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyadatmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamah. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. If it is without any relation to me, but what is without any relation to Krishna? Everything is related to Krishna. So that sense of something not related to Krishna or God is only in our head, is only in our mind. So the Maya is here. So the universe itself is not exactly Maya, because it is Krishna's energy, and if we learn about it in relation to Krishna, that is actually proper. It becomes spiritual knowledge then. But then if we don't see it through that lens, then it becomes all illusion. So the Krishna is what makes everything spiritualized. Like paper, we are having Bhagavad Gita printed on a paper. Paper is material, but the Bhagavad Gita is spiritual. But then Bhagavad Gita is made of all these paper pages, but then it is spiritual because the subject matter is Krishna's instructions. Like that, everything becomes spiritualized. Yukta Vairagyam. That's the principle. Not only Vairagya, Yukta with Krishna, Vairagya for sense gratification. So that's proper. बड़ विप्र कहे तुम्हें ना करो संशय তোমাকে कन्या দিব আমি করিল নিশ্চয়. The older Brahmana replied, my dear boy, do not doubt me. I will give you my daughter in charity. I have already decided this. So he's doubling down on his promise, this older Brahmana. He's emphasizing his promise. छोटो विप्र बोले तुम्हार स्त्री पुत्र सब बहु ज्ञाति गोष्ठी तुम्हार बहुत बांधव. The young Brahmana said, you have a wife and sons and you have a large circle of relatives and friends. तासवार सम्मति विना नहे कन्यादान रुक्मिणीर पिता भीष्मक ताहाते प्रमाण. Without the consent of all your friends and relatives, it is not possible to give me your daughter in charity. Just consider the story of Queen Rukmini and her father Bhishmaka. Only Krishna could kidnap Rukmini, but otherwise it was not possible. Relatives were all against. And this is the thing, relatives become so involved. It used to be out of actual welfare for the daughter, but now they give all advice without them knowing what is the goal of life. So it becomes very meaningless if they have that much affection, but the affection is not in line with Krishna. Like a father, mother, they should have affection for the children, but that affection should translate to spiritual profit for the children. They should be spiritually guided. But so we don't deny affection. Oh, we are Krishna conscious, so we should not love our children. No, that's not the point. There is love, of course, there is affection. Even after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was, as he was fighting, when his son was killed in the battle, he was very angry. Now you may think, why is he not angry for the other people who died in the battle? Why is he partial to his son's dying? That is a partiality. He is materially attached. How come he's so angry and now his fighting became even more stronger? Next day he killed Jayadratha. So why is he so attached to his son after hearing Bhagavad Gita? And Krishna spoke about sama sukha dukha. What is that? Titiksha, tam stitiksha svabharata. Sitoshna sukha dukheshu. If we have to tolerate all happiness and distress, and he heard all that instruction and then again got angry because his son was killed, what is that? Is that not attachment? So Prabhupada mentioned in lectures that it is natural for a father to have affection for the son. There is nothing wrong in that. But if that affection can drive one's service to Krishna or to guide that soul in the service of Krishna, that is what is needed. That is a proper affection. Affection should be there. Otherwise, how? How can a father raise his children, or a mother can raise his children? How? That's why Bhagavatam says, Pitana sasya jananina sasya namo chedya samupetam mrityum. Don't become a father or mother if you cannot give moksha to your dependent. So be affectionate, but let that affection translate to moksha for the dependent. Affection is not denied. So in that sense, affection is properly employed. Of course, at the same time, understanding that this person, my dependents, are belonging to Krishna. So with that understanding, we should go forward and deal with this world properly, not behave like an idiot. In the beginning, especially when one does not know how to, and it is good only that we become extra detached in the beginning, especially we are like rebels. When our parents, don't agree, we become like, what is this? They're Maya. We leave them and then join the temple. It's good. That's good because that will strongly dissociate. I think that's the word. Dissociate us from the materialistic association, so that we can go away from them and actually be trained with be with devotees. Once we're more mature, then when they cannot change us anymore, and they also realize they cannot change us anymore, that's when we become more compassionate to them and try to help them if we can help them, and we will not have such strong feelings, but we just wish well for them. So these changes also will occur. So maturity means we should know how to deal with this world while staying detached from it. That's the Bhagavad Gita verse. Padmapatramivambhasa 5:10 actually. Yeah, 5:10. ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यतेन स पापेन पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. The lotus leaf is always on the water, but it is never wet. So that art we should develop, that maturity we should develop. While in this material world, we cannot stay away from the material world. So while here, we should connect everything to Krishna. In that way, we will remain insulated from the infection of the material world, and not just survival, not just insulate us from the influence of the material world, but we actually influence others and make them also waterproof from getting wet from this material world. So we make them waterproof. So we should change others. We should go on the offensive. We should not just defend ourselves against Maya, but we should actually attack Maya. Defense means when somebody is attacking us, we protect ourselves. But offense means we actually attack. We should go out of our way to attack Maya. Attack those who are in Maya. Attack those who are in Maya means attack Maya by reaching out to those who are influenced by her and changing them. Not just, others are trying to change me, I will protect myself by being strong in Krishna consciousness. No. If they are coming to change me, I will change them by distributing the book, guiding them according to Bhagavad Gita, making them devotees, like that. So it's a very important way of thinking. We should think on the offensive against Maya. We should not just survive, but we should conquer. We should conquer Maya. We should thrive. We should change the course of. That's why Prabhupada said, what did he say? This book, Bhagavatam, will cause a revolution in the lives of will cause a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. So we want to create a revolution, not just protect ourselves against the onslaught of Maya. We will we will enact, or what is that? We will conduct. We will conduct the onslaught on Maya. That is preaching. But at least stay on the defensive and don't let Maya come. So that's something that is called Padmapatramivambhasa. भीष्मकेर इच्छा कृष्णे कन्या समर्पिते पुत्रेर विरोधे कन्या नारिलो अर्पिते. You see, they are discussing about duty while remembering Krishna's pastimes. You see, they are pure devotees. King Bhishmaka wanted to give his daughter Rukmini in charity to Krishna, but Rukmi, his eldest son, objected. Therefore, he could not carry out his decision. See, very apt quotation from history. This is how he was thinking, you see. So we should always conduct our thinking according to the verses, according to the Shastra. So this is a very similar situation where the father wants to give her daughter, but then his son may not want, and his other relatives may not want. Just like Bhishma and daughter Rukmini. Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:52-25. बन्धूनामिच्छतां दातुं कृष्णाय भगिनीं नृप ततो निवार्य कृष्णद्विड रुक्मी चैद्यम् अमन्यत. King Bhishmaka of Vidarbha wanted to offer Krishna his daughter Rukmini, but Rukmi, the eldest son of his 5 sons, objected. Therefore, Bhishmaka withdrew his decision and decided to offer Rukmini to the king of Chedi, Shishupala, who was a cousin of Krishna's. However, Rukmini conceived of a trick. She sent a letter to Krishna asking him to kidnap her. Thus, in order to please Rukmini, who was his great devotee, Krishna kidnapped her. There ensued a great fight between Krishna and the opposing party, headed by Rukmini's brother Rukmi. Rukmi was defeated, and because of his harsh words against Krishna, was about to be killed, but he was saved at the request of Rukmini. However, Krishna shaved off all of Rukmi's hair with his sword. Sri Balaram did not like this, and so to please Rukmini, Balaram rebuked Krishna. So, management of family politics. They say how they played good cop, bad cop. So, at the request of Rukmini, Krishna saved Rukmi but shaved off all his hair with his sword. Balaram did not like this, and so to please Rukmini, Balaram rebuked Krishna, and Krishna did not say anything. So, Rukmini's feelings were managed, and Rukmini was married to Krishna, and Rukmi was given the proper insult and everything. So perfect management of the situation. Because, I mean, a woman will have, but when Rukmini annoyed Balaram, he killed him immediately. And that time also Krishna did not say anything. So there was Krishna did not want to displease Balaram, and Krishna did not want to displease his wife Rukmini. He stayed silent. So we should learn how Krishna expertly manages these things and learn something and apply in our lives when we're dealing with relatives, family members. Okay, so बड़ विप्र कहे कन्या मोर निज धन दीते निषेधिबे कौन जन. The elderly Brahmana said, "My daughter is my own property. If I choose to give my property to someone, who has the power to stop me?" Now he's saying all these things, but later he তোমাকে कन्या दिबो सभा के करी तिरस्कार. তোমাকে कन्या दिबो सभा के करी तिरस्कार. संशय ना करो तुम्ही करो स्वीकार. My dear boy, I will give my daughter to you in charity, and I will neglect the position of all others. Don't doubt me in this regard, just accept my proposal. छोट विप्र कहे यदि कन्या देते मन, गोपालेर आगे कहो ए सत्य वचन. The younger Brahmana replied, "If you have decided to give your young daughter to me, then say so before the Gopal deity." गोपालेर आगे विप्र कहिते लागिल, तुमी जान निज कन्या इहार आमी दिल. Coming before Gopal, the elderly Brahmana said, "My dear Lord, please witness that I have given my daughter to this boy." Purport. In India, it is still the custom for a daughter to be offered to someone simply by word. This is called Vagdatta. This means that the father, brother, or guardian of a girl has given his word that she will be married to a certain man. Consequently, that daughter cannot be married to anyone else. She is reserved by virtue of the honest words of the father or guardian. There are many instances in which the parents of a female child have given someone a verbal promise that their daughter will be married to his son. Both parties agree to wait until the boy and girl are grown up, and then the marriage takes place. Following this custom, which is very old in India, the elderly Brahmana promised to give his daughter to the younger Brahmana in charity, and he promised this before the Gopal deity. In India, the custom is to honor any promise made before the deity. Such a promise cannot be cancelled. In Indian villages, whenever there is a quarrel between two parties, they go to a temple to settle the quarrel. Whatever is spoken in front of the deity is taken to be true, and for no one would dare lie before the deity. Even now, they place their oath on their scriptural religious scripture like Bhagavad Gita or Quran or Bible, like that. Of course, it is said that one should not make an oath on the scripture, something like that. It is said there is a instruction like that in the Nectar of Devotion, I guess. Yeah, I'll find later. But usually that is done because that is considered a promise in front of the. So this is in front of the deity or in front of the book is the same thing. So it is actually a proper thing that was done before. So whatever is spoken in front of the deity is taken to be true, for no one would dare lie before the deity. This same principle was followed in the battle of Kurukshetra. Therefore, in the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. By not becoming God conscious, human society is deteriorating to the lowest standard of animal life. This Krishna consciousness movement is very essential to reviving God consciousness among the general populace. If people actually become God conscious, all quarrels can be settled outside of court. See, that's the other thing. Now you see in India, there are so many court cases pending that it will take 50 years to clear all the court cases that are already there. Not counting the court cases that come every single day that are adding up to the list. 50 years it will take to just settle the court cases that are already going on. But you see, if people are God conscious, first of all, so many court cases won't happen. More people will be honest, more people will be not criminals, and not so many disputes will happen because Ishavashamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha magridah kasyas vidhanam. So we should know that we should not encroach upon others' property, and knowing well that Krishna is the owner of everything, and we are just given our quota for our maintenance and use jivet labho jivet yavata jivasya tattva jignasa. So if human lives are spent in tattva jignasa, about the inquiry about the absolute truth, then more people will be disinterested in unnecessary mundane assets or this and that people fight over. So, and people will have better character. There will be not so many divorce cases. There will not so many theft cases, or all these things will reduce, first of all. And even if they are there, they will be conducted religiously and people will be honest, and things can be solved much more easily. Now, a judicial system without God consciousness, you will have an overload of court cases, and and they will pass stupid laws as well because of lack of God consciousness. Like in India, in the Indian court system, there is now debate going on whether homosexuality should be considered a legal marriage or something like that. There are debates going on. So this debate won't be there if we know from Bhagavad Gita that dharma viruddha kamosmi bharatarshabha, the kama, lust or sex life, that is not contrary to religious principles. And what is not contrary to religious principles? That sex life should be used for procreation and within marriage between a man and woman for the purpose of producing a child and to raise the child in Krishna consciousness. That is the proper sex that is allowed. So anything other than that is sin. So automatically it is removed. The whole debate is gone, finished. Whether some people feel in certain way or what, we don't care. We should conform to the standards of the Vedas. So we cannot legalize such things. There may be people who are doing such things, but we cannot legalize it. So anyway, yeah. So Prabhupada is making a very important point. This Krishna consciousness movement is very essential to reviving God consciousness among the general populace. And why am I saying this? Why we should know this very well? Because suppose we are talking to government. If we want to, we should think always about executing. Just now, I mean, today also I was reading about Prabhupada's instructions, how he was taking the order of his Guru Maharaj, it can be a very simple statement by his Guru. Like his Guru told him to preach in the Western countries, to the English speaking world. Or he said, I would sell marble of my temple and actually print books. Now, these, of course, he did not want to sell the marble of the temple, the Bagh Bazaar, Kolkata Gaudiya Math temple. He did not want to sell it. But he said, since devotees are also not very high standard and they're fighting among about which room to occupy, what is this? This is all, I'm disgusted with this. I rather sell all the marble and then print books. So Prabhupada took that books are very, very dear to my Guru Maharaj, and he wanted book printing, book distribution, and writing books. So he took that order. He said, preach to the English speaking world. Okay. Now, if I am a sincere devotee, okay, and I want to follow that order, please, if I was in the place of Prabhupada, but I'm not this pure devotee of Prabhupada's caliber, or it's not just about that. It's about how a disciple should think about the order of the spiritual master. Okay. So if many disciples are of this category where, and today I had this epiphany when I was reading Prabhupada's instruction, how he took his order of the Guru Maharaj, his Guru. Realization dawned that, I mean, many devotees would have already had this realization, but this thought came that, many disciples fall in this category that when a spiritual master tells something, an instruction, they will try to do the bare minimum to follow that. Okay, he asked me to chant 16 rounds. Okay, I'll chant 16 rounds. Somehow or other, I will chant 16 rounds, whether I'm trying to improve my quality of chanting, or whether I'm focusing more, or I don't care. I'll just chant 16 rounds. Bare minimum. Okay, he said 16 rounds. I'm chanting 16 rounds. Prabhupada took very differently. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also took very differently the order of his spiritual master, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji said, actually, there's a very interesting episode in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's life. But anyway, I'll just mention the relevant part here. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji told him, preach the message of Krishna and leave everything aside. He just said that one sentence. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took it so seriously that he immediately gave up all his astrological studies. He was a great, undefeated scholar in astrology in India. He gave up. He would have been known as one of the greatest astrologers of his time, of all time. But he relinquished that and took to preaching without compromise. And so we can see that. And Prabhupada also, when he said that print books, if you ever have money, print books. Okay, he said, if you ever have money, print books. I can take that order as, okay, I'll get some money and I'll print some books. Whatever I can, I'll do, and I'll pass my life like that. Prabhupada, no. He took that order, extrapolated it to the maximum extent. What if this order, if it can be followed in the grandest style possible, what would it look like? I want to achieve that. If I ever get money, print books. Okay, I will do that, because now I don't have much money. Whatever money I have, I'll print books. But I'm planning on how to increase this operation to get as much money as possible. In fact, the whole money of the world as possible, if possible, and print so many books that the whole world becomes devoted. So take that order, make it the grandest version, chase that. That is the proper disciple. And when we say that, in the parampara, a person who has by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, he can do more service than Nityananda, and his servant can do more service than him. So like that parampara system. But how that more service comes? It comes from the Guru Mukha Padmavakya, Chittete Korya Aikya. And that Guru Mukha Padmavakya, Prabhupada said so many times. And he said in the grandest style possible. So we don't even have to extrapolate anything. We just have to take Prabhupada's words and go out. So we have to take the word of Prabhupada, okay, distribute my books. Okay. Now, if this distribution has to go to the maximum extent, all the biggest people of the world, the smallest people of the world, the middle people, everybody gets it without restriction, without discrimination. Not only to the, we should not just be satisfied with selling books on the street. Yes, that should be done. I'm not saying that should not be done. Every day that should be done. But also think about how to get the books to the academia, to the higher government officials. Think about all the way. Every time, think about how to get it in the hands of someone influential or small or anything. Jare dekha, tare kaha, Krishna upadesh. That also is a very simple order. Whoever you see, talk about Krishna. Okay, whoever I say, talk about. But no, I should not just do it. I should take it to the grandest scale. How can I talk to so many people at once? Social media, for example. And then talk, distribute books, talk about the books, the importance of the books, glorify the books, promote the books, sell the books as much as possible. Just think about it the grandest way possible. Prabhupada did that every single time. Sometimes did not succeed because of the people around him, whatever the circumstances. Like when he was put as the chief manager of the Sajjan Toshini magazine project by his godbrother in Gaudimat, he took the project and he wanted to do in the most enterprising style. He wanted to make it as popular, the Sajjan Toshini magazine, as popular as the Newsweek magazine in India, which is all over the country. Every store has it. He wanted to make it that popular. So he was thinking very grand. Any project he has, however is the scale of the project, however small it is right now, he always thinks of the grandest version of that and chase that. So, and take very pragmatic steps, progressive steps to achieve that. And when certain thing is achieved, when certain achievement is unlocked, then he will leverage that unlocked achievement to go to greater achievements. How to use that achievement. For example, if say he has distributed the Bhagavad Gita to a Muslim scholar who greatly appreciated the book, instead of being just happy, okay, this Muslim man has, use his testimony now to reach to other Muslims, other religions, expand whatever. If something is unlocked, certain achievement is unlocked, use that unlocked achievement to further it. So he never lost an opportunity to promote this philosophy, to promote the books, to promote how to increase the book distribution. And his disciples became so empowered by him as well, and they also went. And unimaginable, unprecedented scale the books were being distributed. Prabhupada himself was greatly surprised at how fast the movement was growing because of the book distribution. So, this purport here, that if people actually become God conscious, all quarrels can be settled outside of court, as happened in the case of the two Brahmanas. Now we can take this court and pitch it to the lawyers, the government. Hey, you're spending so much money in this. You have courts which are shameful. 50 years you cannot. Like next 50 years, if you sit down, also you cannot solve these court cases. That many court cases you have pending. This is shameful. Let us give some facility for us, so that we can give some funding, give something, give facility, or give us free paper so we can print books, or something you do. You spend money. You have so much money. Instead of spending on building stadiums, building statues of some prominent personalities, or you're building roads, highways, infrastructure for everything. But with all this, real problems are not being solved. We don't say don't do all that. Have some considerable funding in this one. It will save you so much need for spending money to prevent crime, to in the judicial system, or this and that. So many things can be, or drug control, or corruption control. All these anti-corruption, these operations require huge ministries, require huge funding. All that funding can be saved if you spend some money with us and support our cause of printing books. Support this thing and popularize. Use your government channels to reach out to people and talk to people and say, please read Bhagavad Gita. It's a common book for everybody. So don't shy away. So secular government. Okay, then you support all religions then properly and make sure they're following properly. If you're a Muslim, read Quran and follow Quran, and then you check whether they're following their scripture properly or not. Whether Bhagavad Gita they're following properly or not. Bible they're following properly or not. And then ultimately have some competitions, civil debates, not like inciting violence, but respectful civil debates between all the religions, sections and everything, which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur so much wanted. And if a big propaganda can be made for that, and people will become more religious when they hear about, hear meaningful discussions and debates and lectures and stuff like that. People will become, the culture will develop again. Especially devotees, if they take the charge for presenting our philosophy everywhere, then it will become very, whole population can be saved. So we should always think of leveraging opportunities, and quotes like this, we should immediately take and like present it as a, we should keep it saved, and then whenever we meet some important people, we can tell these kind of things. We should remember these pastimes, these things, and how, what implications do these, what relevance does these things have in our current life. Now you may think about Sākṣi-Gopāla or some pastime. Okay, oh nice story. Gopal walked. Oh, very beautiful. Okay, finish. No, Ray, you can make it relevant to the modern society, even if they're not devotees. Make them attracted to it by showing something which can solve their problem, and then they will be attracted. Oh, what is this? Oh, Sakshi. Oh, court case. There is always asking for witnesses and all. Oh, deity walked. That's interesting. So to lawyers, we can show the Sākṣi-Gopāla Deity story and say, see, by the Chaitanya Charitamrita and read. So we can sell Chaitanya Charitamrita sets to lawyers by showing the story. So we just have to think about how to present it to everyone. All sorts of people, what kind of things we can show them. So let the book promote the book. Chaitanya Charitamrita, let the Chaitanya Charitamrita promote itself. So let us quote from this and we can use this as promote. Prabhupada did that. He quoted from the books to promote the books. And he quoted testimonials of other people who read the book and what they said, important people. He quoted that as the as a promotional material for the book. So he always used this technique to pitch it to more people, and his disciples also took that cause up very beautifully. Yeah. So continuing on, if people actually become God conscious, all quarrels can be settled outside of court, as happened in the case of the two Brahmanas whose disagreement was settled by the witness Gopal. What's time? 9:20. Okay, maybe another 10 minutes and we will stop. छोट विप्र बोले ठाकुर तुम्ही मोर साक्षी तोमा साक्षी बोलाई मु जदि अन्यथा देखी. In fact, this Sākshi word is pronounced in Bengali as Sakhi. But I'm just pronouncing as Sākshi because that is also correct. Toma Sakhi bolai mu yadi anyatha dekhi. Then the younger Brahmana addressed the deity, saying, "My dear Lord, you are my witness. I shall call for you to testify if it is necessary later on." The younger Brahmana did not have any confidence in the older Brahmana's words, not because of not having faith in him, but because his family members will certainly muscle their way through it and not let the old man have a say. Although old man actually meant what he wanted to say, but he knew how his family members would object, and if anything, he said this to the Lord not simply to settle a score with the elderly man. Hey, elderly man, you are saying this. Now you told this in front of Gopal. Gopal, you are the thing. If he later backs off, you please save the situation. It's not to actually win a fight over the old man. No, it was a very nice thought of this young man. Why he said this? Because he wanted to save the old man religiously. In the sense, his dharma, he wanted to save his dharma. He promised something at Gopal. So, Gopal, you please come and testify later on and save him from telling a lie before you and making an offense. So please handle that matter with his family when he will be unable to stand his ground with his family members, because I know his family members' nature. So he's a nice man, but he won't be able to probably follow his word in front of you. I don't want him to fail what he told in front of you. I don't want him to become a liar. I want him to be known as, I want him to be right. So Krishna, you please, Gopal, you please save the situation later on. So in that mood he went. एटा बोली दुई जने चलिला देशे रे गुरु बुद्धि छोट विप्र बहु सेवा करे. After these talks, the two Brahmanas started for home. As usual, the young Brahmana accompanied the elderly Brahmana as if the old Brahmana were a guru, spiritual master, and rendered him service in various ways. देशे आसी दुई जने गेला निज घरे कत दिने बड़ विप्र चिंतित अंतरे. After returning to Vidyanagar, each Brahmana went to his respective home. After some time, the elderly Brahmana became very anxious. So, okay, I think this is a good point. We will stop because this is the next arc of the story. So we'll stop it here. Thank you very much, and we'll see if there are any comments or questions. CC Madhya 16.150 purport information about Jajpur. 16.150 दुई राजपात्र जय प्रभु संगे जाए जाजपुर राशि प्रभु तारे दिलेन विद्या विदाय. The place called Jajpur is very well known in Orissa. It is a subdivision of the Cuttack district and is situated on the southern side of the Vaitarani river. Formerly, great sages performed sacrifices on the northern bank of the Vaitarani river. Consequently, the place is known as Jajpur. Yajna. Yaja. Yajan. Yaja. The place where sacrifices are performed, Jajpur. See, some people say that this was one of the capital cities of King Yayati, and that from name Yayati Nagar, the name Yajpur has come. As said in Mahabharat Vanaparva, chapter 114, Ete Kalingaha Kaunteya Yatra Vaitarani Nadi Yatra Yajata Dharmopi Devan Sharanametyavai Atra Vairashayonye cha Pura Kratubhiri Jire. According to the Mahabharata, great sages formerly performed sacrifices in this place. There are still many temples of demigods and incarnations there, and there is also a deity of Sri Varahadev. This deity is especially important and is visited by many pilgrims. Those who worship the Supreme Lord's energy worship Varahi, Vaishnavi, and Indrani, as well as many similar forms of Devi, the internal energy. There are many deities of Lord Shiva, and there are many places along the river known as the Dashashwamedha Ghat. Sometimes Yajpur is also called Nabhigaya or Viraja Kshetra. Interesting, very nice. Somebody is saying, what do you think about caste system? Well, in this story, there is a mention of caste system of aristocratic and not so aristocratic Brahmanas. Well, Asura Varnashram, Daivi Varnashram, social customs were there at the time and even now, but social customs should be actually spiritual customs. But when they detach themselves from the scripture, they become abused. So the spiritual custom is that caste system is actually Varnashram Dharma. It's not exactly caste system. It's not by birth. So there is a scientific division or categorization of human society to achieve the ultimate goal of spiritual realization, Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, God realization. So the whole society can be employed, and at the same time they can spiritually advance. That's the system. And therefore the population is classified according to the intelligent, the administrative, the mercantile, and the laborers. But eventually it became birth based. Oh, if I'm Brahmana, my son is Brahmana automatically. So that is called Asura Varnashram. That is demoniac version of this Varnashram system. It is a perversion of the original effective Varnashram system. So which is unfortunate. But that does not mean the whole system has to be removed. No, it has to be brought back to its original state. Further verses, we read that Krishna himself says that they are eternally servants of him. We will come later on to that. Today, I think we will stop it here. So, in future, we will, in the same chapter, we will be reading that. So, these two Brahmanas are actually pure devotees of Krishna. So, this is a quote by Prahlad Maharaj, 7.9.28. So, importance of serving the Guru, importance of serving the devotee, because without devotee we cannot serve Krishna. 7.9.28. एवं जनं निपतितं प्रभवाहि कूपे कामाभिकाममनुयः प्रपतन् प्रसङ्गात् कृत्वात्मसात् सुरर्षिणा भगवन् गृहीतः सोऽहं कथं नु विसृजे तव भृत्य सेवाम्. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narada Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? So, this is gratitude, kritagnyata. He saved me, so how can I leave him? How can I leave his service? So, same thing we are singing every day in the Guru Vandana. Chakshudan Diloje Janme Janme Prabhu She Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. He saved me, he gave me this knowledge. He's my Lord life after life. I have to serve him life after life. Therefore, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chityate Korai Kya. How can I? Arna Kori Ho Mane Asha. Don't let the mind think of anything else. Just serve the instruction of the Guru. So, very nice. So, here, CC Madhya 8.210. Let's go there. This is very relevant to us. कृष्ण लीलामृत जदि लता के सिंचय निज सुख होइते पल्लवाद्यर कोटि सुख होय निज सुख होइते पल्लवाद्यर कोटि सुख होय. When the nectar of Krishna's pastimes is sprinkled on that creeper, the happiness derived by the twigs, flowers and leaves is 10 million times greater than that derived by the creeper itself. Beautiful. This is very nice. In his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states, Srimati Radharani is the creeper of love of Godhead and the gopis are exactly like twigs, flowers and leaves. When water is sprinkled on the creeper, Radharani, the twigs, flowers and leaves indirectly receive all the benefits of the creeper itself. But water sprinkled directly on the twigs, leaves and flowers is not as effective as water sprinkled on the creeper's root. The gopis are not as pleased when they directly mix with Krishna as when they serve to unite Srimati Radharani with Krishna. Their transcendental pleasure lies in uniting them. See? 10 million times, not just 100 times, 10 million times. Koti. That's parampara. Here it's mentioned 100 times more than if they were sprinkled themselves. Actually, this is not at all wonderful. This is from Govinda Lilamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also. Let's try to read this verse. What is the... Sakhyah Shri Radhikaya Vrajakumuda Vidhorhladini Nama Shakteh Saramsha Prema Valya Kisalayadala Pushpaditulyah Kisalayadala Pushpaditulyah Swatulyah Siktayam Krishna Leelam Ritarasanichayair Ullasantyamamushyam Jatollasaha Swasekat Chatagunamadhikam Santi Yattanna Chitram Chatagunamadhikam Swasekat actually Swasekat Shatagunam Adhikam Santi Yattanna Chitram. Very beautiful, right? Such a beautiful verse. Very melodious and meaningful. All the gopis, the personal friends of Srimati Radharani, are equal to her. Krishna is pleasing to the inhabitants of Rajabhumi just as the moon is pleasing to the lotus flower. His pleasure-giving potency is known as Hladini, of which the active principle is Srimati Radharani. He is compared to a creeper with newly grown flowers and leaves. When the nectar of Krishna's pastimes is sprinkled on Srimati Radharani, all her friends, the gopis, immediately appreciate the pleasure 100 times more than if they were sprinkled themselves. Actually, this is not at all wonderful. Such a beautiful verse. See, although the gopis, Srimati Radharani's friends, do not desire to enjoy themselves directly with Krishna, Srimati Radharani makes a great endeavor to induce Krishna to enjoy himself with the gopis. So there is this, loving reciprocation like that. So that was a very nice reference, beautiful reference. Haribol Prabhuji, where are you based? Singapore, ISKM Singapore. Arjun Sinha Chauhan. Its father's duty to raise children. Narsim Mehta, who is devoted to Krishna, also feel sad but did not get angry when his children died. He simply said Hari Icha and moved on. I heard that song about Narsim Mehta, Gujarati. He's a great devotee of Krishna. He has a famous song also. I do not know his story actually. I don't know his life story. So he simply said Hari Icha and moved on. See, yes, still, because Arjuna, although his son was killed and there was a feeling of anger, he channeled that anger to serve Krishna because Krishna wanted the battle and he fought in service of Krishna. And then, so his affection for his son only increased his service to Krishna. So our affection for our family members should be channeled to make it a service to Krishna. Like a mother loves the child, so she should make him a great devotee. So it's not that, oh, now you know Bhagavad Gita, now a mother should not love the child. You should not be attached to your child. Oh, if he dies, never mind, he Hari Icha. And don't take care of the child, let the child die, and then okay, this is Hari's Icha. No, that's not nonsense. That's nonsense. Of course, I'm not saying you're saying that. Don't get me wrong. But we should know how to actually apply this in life. So we should take care and we should be anxious for the child and everything, protect the child. And of course, knowing that Krishna is the ultimate protector, but we should also know that I am the instrument of Krishna to protect this child, not only materially take care, but also spiritually enlighten. So I should do my duty. Not like, oh, Krishna, Arjuna saw in the Virat Rupa, oh, Krishna already killed everybody. Oh, he killed, no? Why I should fight? No, man, Krishna knows. That's not the attitude. I have to do my duty as an instrument of Krishna. Similarly, the mother and father are instruments of Krishna in raising the child, and therefore they have to do their duty as parents, and that involves affection. Without affection, if there is no affection, the mother will not be able to take the crying of the child in the night and day and everything, and then take care so much. And the father, it's a lot of effort, an investment of time, effort, and everything. They will not do that. So that is not denied, but let that be channeled, let that make a spiritual impact on the child and let them become devotees. So that is good. Is Madhvacharya's teaching similar to ISKCON? Absolutely. What do you think? He says Krishna is God. We say Krishna is God, Supreme Personality of God, and no one else. Exactly the same. Bhatia Manthan, what is your opinion where Krishna devotees are being murdered in Bangladesh? It's horrible. It's so unfortunate. It's now this is not a first of all, this is not a platform that we discuss everything that is going on in the world. We should stick to the topics that are being discussed, and that's the proper way to ask questions. If you have anything to deepen your understanding about what we have discussed, you should ask that. This is not a time to discuss anything under the sun. But the devotees in Bangladesh being murdered, it's most horrendous. The government of India should involve more to do something, and if the devotees of ISKCON, they can influence the government to do something about it, that will be proper, because it's just horrendous what is going on there. Why are you not raising a voice for them? You guys are all over the world, but you're not able to save them and not give strong support for them. Why? Well, this is what the ISKCON in India, they have to do, as I just said. And we are, you should understand that we as ISKCON are not exactly ISKCON. We are another institution actually, and we don't have presence in Bangladesh. Or anyway, we are much smaller. ISKCON is much bigger. They can actually do it. We follow the Ritvik system. We don't have direct communication with ISKCON. So yeah, that's what's going on. Okay, I'm going to answer those which are relevant here. Oh, so the devotee Narsingh Mehta's sons died, but he continued the kirtan and even the Lord was shocked. I need to read more about Narsingh Mehta. Okay, so I'll stop it here. Thank you very much for joining. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Sākṣi Gopāla ki jai, the two Brahmanas ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, this is a different pastime, not Narsingh Mehta. What song is this? Kalau Shudra Sambhavan. What is it? I don't know what story. I don't know what pastime is this. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.